Ninja and samurai in school. Did you know that Japanese children actually learn about ninjas and samurai in school? Yes, it's true, and it's more than just fun. They don't only memorize history. They study the philosophy, behavior, and values behind these ancient warriors. Sounds like a movie plot, doesn't it? But this is a real part of education in Japan. They learn about courage, loyalty, discipline, and humility. It's not sword fighting. It's a cultural lesson. In many Western countries, students learn about wars and kings. In Japan, they meet heroes from their own soil. So here's a question. What if your country taught children its legendary figures in school? Would it change how they grow up? Would it shape their sense of identity? What are ninja studies and samurai classes? So, what exactly are ninja studies and samurai classes? They're not official subjects, but special parts of moral and cultural education. Japanese elementary schools sometimes create unique programs to connect kids with tradition. In these classes, students might dress like ninjas or copy samurai stances. But it's not about playing pretend. Teachers explain the values these figures stood for, like discipline, loyalty, and self-control. They read stories, watch animations, and even practice etiquette used by samurai. Some schools hold ninja days, where kids solve missions using teamwork and stealth. Others teach samurai codes as part of moral education. It's immersive, fun, and deeply rooted in identity. This approach helps children feel proud of their culture, while also teaching them universal values. It's not fantasy, it's learning with purpose. The historical roots, not just swords and stealth. When you hear ninja or samurai, what comes to mind? Swords, shadows, maybe action movies. But their real history is more complex. Samurai were more than warriors, they were scholars, poets, and leaders. They followed Bushido, a strict moral code, based on honor, loyalty, and discipline. Ninjas, on the other hand, were not just spies or assassins. They were masters of survival, strategy, and adaptation. They used knowledge, not just weapons. Both groups valued self-control and inner strength. They had to stay calm, think clearly, and protect others, even in chaos. That's why Japan teaches their values in schools. It's not about copying the fighting style. It's about learning what made these people so respected. Their strength wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. And that's what students are encouraged to explore. Modern curriculum: how Japan teaches tradition. Japan has found a unique way to teach tradition without making it feel old. Instead of memorizing dates and names, students experience culture through movement, stories, and rituals. A lesson on samurai might include bowing, sitting posture, or writing a moral pledge. Ninja-themed activities can teach strategy, cooperation, and physical awareness. These aren't separate subjects, they're blended into moral education, physical education, and social studies. By using role-play, crafts, and storytelling, teachers make ancient values feel real. Kids don't just learn about samurai, they act like them, feel like them, and reflect on why they mattered. The goal isn't to glorify violence. It's to connect students with deeper lessons about discipline, respect, and identity. Japan turns tradition into living knowledge, and that keeps it alive for the next generation. Ninja skills in PE? Samurai ethics in class? Yes, you really might see kids learning ninja skills in PE class, or writing samurai-style promises in their journals. But don't be fooled, this isn't just cute or quirky. These lessons are carefully designed to teach important values. In PE, ninja games improve coordination, balance, and teamwork. Students crawl silently, move with control, and use strategy, not just strength. In class, they study samurai sayings like rectify your heart before you act. They learn to reflect before speaking, and to take responsibility. Even cleaning time becomes a lesson in respect. Children bow before entering a room or finishing a task. These small rituals build a sense of order and awareness. And they're fun. Students remember them not because they were forced to, but because the experience felt special. That's what makes it work. It's not only education. It's a cultural adventure. Is this normal? What foreigners think? To many foreigners, the idea of kids learning about ninjas and samurai in school feels strange. Cool, yes. Fascinating, definitely. But also very different from what they grew up with. In many Western countries, schools avoid blending fantasy with education. There's often a clear line between history and myth. So here's the question. Would your school have let you wear ninja outfits in gym class? Or write warrior codes in your notebook? Probably not. But in Japan, it's seen as a way to connect with tradition while keeping kids engaged. And it works. Foreign visitors are often surprised at how smoothly these themes fit into real learning. There's no shame, no fear of being too childish. In fact, using imagination is considered a strength. Japanese schools teach that culture is something to be lived, not just studied. And that's a lesson worth thinking about. Learning identity through legends. Legends aren't just old stories. They carry the values, fears, hopes, and dreams of a culture. When Japanese students learn about ninjas and samurai, they're not just meeting heroes. They're being introduced to a part of their identity. These figures represent traits that Japanese society still respects: discipline, loyalty, humility. By learning about them, students learn about themselves. It's like holding a mirror made of history. You see who you are by looking at who your people admired. That's powerful. In a fast-changing world, identity can feel fragile, but legends offer a stable core, a cultural anchor. They remind kids where they came from and what they stand for. And when children feel rooted, they grow stronger. Not just smarter but more grounded, more human. That's the deeper purpose behind ninja and samurai classes. It's not nostalgia, it's identity education. Not just history, it's character education. In Japan, learning about ninjas and samurai isn't about memorizing facts. It's about shaping character. These figures aren't just symbols of the past. They're models of how to live with honor, focus, and discipline. Samurai weren't perfect. Ninjas weren't superheroes. But they faced fear, made sacrifices, and protected others. And those are lessons every child can learn from. Japanese schools use their stories to teach things like patience, self-control, and responsibility. A student might read a ninja talent not to copy the tricks, but to learn the mindset. How do you move silently? Not just with your feet, but with your heart. How do you show respect? Not just in big ways, but in everyday actions. This isn't about pretending to be a warrior. It's about becoming a better human. That's why Japan puts legends in the classroom. Could this work in other countries? What if your country taught its cultural heroes in school? Not just as names in a textbook, but as real examples to guide behavior and thinking. Japan isn't the only place with legends. Every culture has its warriors, wise men, and folk heroes. So why not use them in education? Imagine learning courage from Viking sagas, or empathy from Native American stories. What if students acted out ancient rituals, or practiced values passed down through generations? These stories aren't just entertainment. They're blueprints for how people lived, thought, and connected. By bringing them into the classroom, schools can give students more than knowledge, they can give roots. And kids with strong roots grow differently. They stand taller, bend less, and know who they are. Maybe it's time for more schools to ask, what legends do we have to teach? Japan's hidden strength: teaching through culture. Japan's education system hides a quiet strength. It doesn't just aim to create smart kids. It shapes people who feel connected to something deeper. By teaching culture not as facts, but as lived experience, Japan gives students a foundation built on identity. The ninja and samurai aren't just history. They're tools for character, memory, and meaning. They remind students that tradition isn't old, it's alive. And when children grow up with that mindset, they become adults who carry their culture with pride. This is Japan's quiet strategy. It doesn't shout. It teaches by doing, by showing, by embodying. And that's something the world can learn from. In a global era, identity isn't something to erase, it's something to strengthen. And Japan shows how it can be done. Not through fear, but through stories. Not through force, but through values. That's the hidden strength of teaching through culture. And just to be clear, no. Japanese schools don't really have ninja or samurai classes. Not yet, anyway. But wouldn't that be kind of awesome? This is just a fun. Look at how Japan's love for tradition sparks the imagination. Do you think your country should start ninja studies? Let me know in the comments. I want your wildest ideas. And hey, if this made you smile, hit that subscribe button. I post new cultural twists every day, same time, same place. See you tomorrow.